We're getting new video tonight of that devastating earthquake in Japan.
Oh my God. Wow, Jesus.
An English teacher in Japan shot this dramatic footage of the 8.9 magnitude earthquake on Friday. Dan Suzuka says he grabbed his iPhone and evacuated his school when the quake warning system sounded. He says he was terrified he was going to get sucked right into the ground. Tonight, search teams are sorting through the devastation, looking for more bodies. Japanese officials expect the death toll to rise to the tens of thousands.
Japan's Daiichi nuclear plant is raising new concerns tonight. There was a second explosion and problems with a third nuclear reactor. The disaster in Japan is also reopening the debate over the safety of nuclear energy and power plants across the globe and here in the U.S. A second hydrogen explosion rocked the Daiichi nuclear power plant in Fukushima. 11 workers were wounded, this time at a different nuclear reactor, Unit 3, after Saturday's blast in Unit 1.
We are beyond a reactor crisis at this point. This is a nuclear system crisis.
Japan's government insists so far that radiation levels are safe. Nuclear experts disagree, but some warn of a disaster worse than Chernobyl.
It's absolutely possible. And not only that, it's absolutely possible at multiple reactor sites.
After radiation was detected, the USS Ronald Reagan moved U.S. forces farther away.
Release of radioactivity to the atmosphere is limited, but they are now facing the challenge to cool down the reactors.
2 reactors have suffered partial meltdowns. Inside those buildings, the hot nuclear core and their primary containment housings are said to be intact. But with no electricity, the Japanese are using fire trucks, pumping seawater into the cores, flooding the containment housing of both reactors. It's a last-ditch effort to cool the cores, destroying them in the process, aiming at a shutdown, one that would ease the overheating that could lead to a meltdown.
Think of a car that's spinning out of control. You hit the brakes don't work. The backup systems don't work. The radiator then begins to blow up like we've seen on television.
At a third reactor, fuel rods were temporarily exposed, raising fears of a meltdown in yet another reactor. And there are 23 similar reactors made by General Electric here in the United States. That is nearly a quarter of this country's 104 nuclear reactors. Japan's reactor problems haven't gone unnoticed here in Florida. Governor Rick Scott says he's asked the new emergency management director to review Florida's action plan. Each year, nuclear plants like the one in Crystal River go through exercises to test their response to a variety of emergencies. Governor Scott says he is confident Florida is prepared. Some Central Florida students who were caught in the middle of the earthquake are back home tonight. Business students at Stetson were in Tokyo on a study abroad program. Their families greeted them as they made it back safely. They felt several of the powerful aftershocks as well. Students say they learned a very valuable lesson.
This humble realization that we are not as in control as we'd like to think we are, and that if you are able to walk away from a serious situation like this, then you are extremely lucky, and every day is something you need to cherish.
And many of the students we spoke to say they want to go back to Japan someday. The students had a hard time getting out of the country because transportation came to a standstill in the days after the quake.